To begin our conversation on logic, we really need to establish the foundational building blocks of logic called statements and what their definition is. The statement is really any sentence that can be either true or false. Okay, so for instance, 1 plus 1 equals 2 is a statement. It is true. 2 times 2 equals 6 is a statement. It is a false statement, but it is still a statement. Any statement doesn't have to be mathematical. It could be historical. Human beings have walked on the moon is a statement. It is either true or false. Okay. I don't know. There are 12 planets in our solar system is a statement. Again, it is either true or false. And any statement has a negation. Okay, so the statement, there are 12 planets in our solar system, has a negation. There are not 12 planets in our solar system. Okay, obviously the first statement is false, and its negation, there are not 12 planets in our solar system, is true. Okay, in fact, for every true statement, its negation is false, and for every false statement, its negation is true. So if I said 1 plus 1 is 2, that's a true statement. If I were to negate that statement, I would say 1 plus 1 is not 2. That is a false statement. Okay. If I said 2 times 2 is 6, that is a false statement. If I negate it and say 2 times 2 is not 6, that is a true statement. Okay, so again, every false statement's negation is true, and every true statement's negation is false. Okay, so just a couple of quick definitions. A statement is a sentence that is either true or false. Combining or and false in the same word. Or false. Okay? A statement that is either true or false. It cannot be both simultaneously. In fact, I'm going to write that in here. But not both simultaneously. Now that part of the definition is weird, because to conceptualize a statement that is both true and false seems very difficult. In fact, if I just give you 5 seconds to think of one, you probably can't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sure you didn't come up with one. Here's an example right out of our textbook. I have a hard time coming up with these as well. One in the textbook is the statement, I am lying now. That is both true and false. If it is true that I am lying now, then I would be lying, which means that statement is false. And so it is both true and false. If it is false that I am lying now, then I must be telling the truth, which makes the statement false. So if it's true, then it's false. If it's false, then it's true. It's both at the same time. So I am lying now is not a statement. It's actually not a statement. It's a sentence, but it's not a statement in the sense that we're going to be able to use in a logical argument. Okay. There are other such statements. That's kind of an interesting example. All right. Okay, so we often use symbols to represent statements, just like you would use a variable in mathematics to represent an unknown quantity, like the variable x to represent something, or the variable y. We can represent statements with letters or other symbols. Typically, instead of x and y, we typically use the letters p and q and r to represent statements. Okay, So I could say that, let's say, P is the statement let's see, I don't know, what's a good one? Math is fun for me, I suppose. Math is fun may differ, true or false may differ for each person, right? Math is fun for me. True statement. Okay, I'm weird like that. Its negation would be represented by this little squiggly hyphen. I don't actually know what the name of that is. This is the statement, math is not fun for me. Okay? All right, both of those are sentences. One is true, one is false. Now, the statement isn't always, a statement isn't always true, it could be false, in which case its negation will be true, okay? So in this case, P is a statement, math is fun, for me, okay? True. Now there are times where math isn't fun, just being honest, but generally speaking, math is fun. There were many days when I was in grad school where math was not fun, but you push through those days. The negation of that, however, math is not fun for me, would be a false statement, generally speaking. Okay? Okay, so those are just a couple of examples there of a negation of a statement. Excuse me. Another example of a statement, I'll call this statement Q. Maybe this statement is there are 32 states in the USA. Oh, there we go. Well, there's not, right? That's false. That's a false statement. Still a statement, it's just false. Okay? Any statement that is true or false, or any sentence that is true or false is a statement. Again, and actually what's interesting is it doesn't have to be provable, or you don't actually have to know the truth or false value of the statement. It just has to be either true or false, okay? Its negation, not Q, would be there are not, underline that, 32 states in the USA. Right? That is a true statement. Now notice that I did not say here there are 50 states in the United States, right, in the USA. Giving another number is not the negation of the first sentence. So if I said there are, if I said there are 32 states in the USA, its negation isn't there are 50 states in the USA. That's not the negation of 32. Anything other than 32 is the negation, or I should say something other than 32. Okay, so there are not 32 states in the USA is the negation of there are 32 states in the USA. Okay. Okay, so giving a particular number is not the negation. Giving any number but the one given is the negation, okay? I also mentioned that a statement doesn't have to be known whether it's true or false, okay? There are, there are some statements that maybe are debatable, or that people, don't necessarily know to be true. For instance, what's a good one? For instance, the statement, there is life elsewhere in the universe, is a statement that we don't know to be true or false, right? Just don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We can't prove it. We don't have, really solid evidence, although some people would argue that we do. It's certainly not a statement that can be verified true or false, in any sort of solid way, I guess. So that's kind of an interesting one. It is a statement. It could be true or it could be false. It can't be both simultaneously. I'm just saying we don't necessarily know whether to categorize it as true or false. Okay? So, in that regard, if I said, let's let R is the statement, there is life elsewhere in the universe. So that statement, there is life elsewhere in the universe, again, we don't know whether it's true or false, but it is either true or false. Okay, if that makes sense. So, is it true? Is it false? We don't know, but it's one of the two. Okay, and its negation, there is not life elsewhere in the universe. We don't know if that's true or if that's false. Right, again. But what we do know is that if the first one is true, then the second one is false. And if the first one is false, then the second one is true. That we do know. All right? So we don't necessarily know whether one of these is true or false, but what we do know is that one of them is true, the other one is false. Okay? Kind of interesting. We don't just necessarily have to know whether they are or not, but it has to be possible or conceivable that it's one or the other. Certainly not the case that there is life elsewhere in the universe could be both true and false at the same time. That's not possible, right? There either is or there isn't. Okay? We just don't have to know it. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, those are things. There are also things that are debatable, things that certain people may claim. There's the flat Earth theory, right? So there's some people who would say the Earth is round or spherical. Others would say the Earth is flat, right, like a disc. Okay, if I said the Earth is spherical, or an ellipsoid technically, is that statement true or false? Well, it is one or the other, right? Maybe it's debatable in certain people's minds. However, the general consensus that is a true statement. But certain things may be debatable. It doesn't mean they're not a statement. It's still a statement because it's either true or false for certain. One of the two. Can't be both at the same time. All right. So anyway, just some examples. A couple goofy ones, but still some interesting things to ponder here.